everyone, and welcome back to another chess lesson. We're going to continue on the subject of openings, dive a little deeper into tactics with openings, and opening, especially just opening with purpose. So in this example will be white. So as we know, it is smart to start opening up with a central pawn to forward. Now let's say in this example that black responds by doing the same, copying us. What we can see if we look at the board is that actually nothing right now is protecting this pawn, because the king can only move one square forward, so nothing is actually protecting this pawn. So if your opponent is not paying attention, you might get a quick advantage. So we could immediately attack that pawn with our knight. Now, obviously, if you're black, you have to be aware of the fact that your pawn is under attack and that it is not defended. So there are multiple ways to defend it. You can put the pawn forward, but that is not ideal, because what happens is you block in your bishop with the pawn. For example, here defending with the knight is a very good move. Now, white could also develop a knight. Doesn't really attack anything, but you defend your pawn. Now black could attack that pawn, but you don't have to worry about it because it's defended. We want to get our bishop out before we close the pawn chain. We can be super aggressive and go too forward, but I recommend as a beginner just playing very solidly. Try to put your bishop as far as possible. I always try to play by the philosophy of how far can I put my piece on the board, and this is the farthest I can get. Here is also totally fine, but that's my philosophy. Now black could respond by doing exactly the same thing, and here if we would move our pawn forward, actually have something that is called a pin. As you can see, I can't move my knight. Why is that? Because the knight is pinned to the king. Because if I were to move my knight, the bishop could capture the king and you would lose the game. So that's an illegal move. So black obviously also wants to get his white bishop out. But we can do the same thing. You know, we can also pin this knight to the queen. And maybe against beginners that's even more useful, because a beginner might forget about such a pin, and now it's not an illegal move and you just win a queen. White going for that double pin. So 2 pins, super annoying. So we castle, black would castle. And so here you could have, when you want to get rid of that pin, I mean this one is already unpinned, so you could, for example, start to move into the center and go for an attack. So let's see if we're black. When we're black, we're much more reactionary. So let's say we're doing again symmetrical opening, and what we get, our opponent is not really clever and just has heard that developing your central pawns is good and just goes boom. In this case, you would obviously take, because there's nothing that can attack this pawn right now. Obviously, you could come out with the knight, but you can defend. So as you can see, this is a very natural move, but it also defends, which is great. So you should always try to look for those kind of things. Just how can I make the most natural move that is also practical in the position? Why this is so bad, especially for beginners. I mean, this is obviously a line that, you know, more advanced players know how to play this opening, but beginners, they have no clue what they're doing. So why this is bad is because, you know, the natural development square of the knight is being taken away. So of course, newbies will try to attack the pawn right away. And again, you can just get like supernatural development right here, developing a bishop while protecting that pawn, you know, holding on to that pawn. And white has now actually taken away its own square of where the knight, I mean, the knight could have gone here, but, you know, in their eagerness to attack, they've even blocked in their bishop. So be mindful of how your opponent plays. There is sort of like a checklist. Here we have, if we're black, for example, the first thing that you should ask yourself, is there a threat? Yes, there's a threat. How can I defend and play a natural developing move at the same time? I mean, for example, you could also defend like this, but that's terrible because you leave your king vulnerable to checks from the queen who come flying in here, and it's a check. Don't open up the king in that way. In conclusion, defend with making natural opening, developing moves. If we go back to the other example where we had this, you know, don't be an AI. Don't be like, oh, I can just boom. No, if you see like there's tension here and you can actually take something for free, you know, do it. You know, always ask yourself after you've asked yourself the question, am I under attack? And if the answer is, well, in this case it's yes, but there's also something you can do about it. So ask yourself, can I capture something? And if the answer is yes, so if this is undefended, then take it. And so this is how you should think during the opening. And you would see, if you would follow these steps, that you would win a lot of games or get at least a winning position in the opening of the game. So I hope this was informative, and I'll see y'all on the next lesson.